So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah! What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, the Detroit Lions have gone through 5 OTA practices, right? We've gone through 5 days of getting to see the first team and second team offense and defense, getting to see the players that are thriving, getting to see the players that are struggling, and getting to see our first real look at the 2023 Detroit Lions. And while some players have certainly excelled, and while some teams have certainly done better than others, one team that is starting to fall behind in OTAs has been the Detroit Lions offense. They haven't really found their chemistry. They've never really found their footing across 5 days of OTAs. And today I wanted to take a look at why that might be and whether or not we as fans should be concerned about the lack of production on the offensive side of the ball for a team that is so talented on that offense. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Detroit Lions offensive struggles through OTAs and take a look at whether or not it's concerning and what the Lions can do to fix it going into the 2023 NFL preseason. Now, before we start talking about the OTA offense, I want to talk about the 2022 offense, as they were 3rd in the NFL in total yards gained. They ranked 5th in the NFL last season in total points scored, and they were the best team in terms of turnovers. They had the fewest turnovers in the NFL of just 15, averaging less than 1 per game and being the only team in the NFL to do so. Now, going through the offseason, the Detroit Lions on paper got better. They improved their top 5 offense by adding Jahmyr Gibbs through the NFL draft, by adding Sam Laporta through the NFL draft, by adding Marvin Jones Jr. through free agency, as well as welcoming back Halapaloe Vaitai, who last year missed the entire season after having back surgery. Now, they did lose big play threat DJ Chark and weren't really able to replace it through free agency, but they are welcoming back Jameson Williams, their first-round pick from a season ago, who was actually this year entering OTAs completely healthy, not having to rehab from the torn ACL, who should be able to replace what DJ Chark gave the Detroit Lions a season ago as far as the big play weapon and the big play field stretcher. So, knowing that the Detroit Lions got better on paper, knowing that they started as a top 5 offense, retaining pretty much everybody from a season ago, including young offensive mind Ben Johnson, why are the Detroit Lions struggling? Right, Jared Goff seems to have a lack of chemistry with a lot of his wide receivers, especially with Jameson Williams, who he missed on a deep post a couple times already in practice. And the two of them have had multiple conversations, including Jared Goff being visibly frustrated on the field, with Jameson Williams not quite being in the right spot where Jared Goff and Ben Johnson expect him to be at his point in the route where Jared Goff releases the football. Now, this, of course, is slightly concerning for Detroit Lions fans, as your number 1 quarterback and presumably your number 1 boundary wide receiver aren't on the same page, and there's visible frustration on the field. It was said Jared Goff was throwing up his hands, was very visibly frustrated, and when he and Ben Johnson and Jameson Williams had talking to, he was pointing out where he wanted Williams to be and where he wanted, the route to continue, where he wanted Williams to be at what time, and was really going through explaining it to the second-year wide receiver. However, I think that the frustration aspect was very much overblown, right? I don't think it was as much of a, oh my God, this is so frustrating, this is never going to work, as a, we need to start getting on the same page. And yeah, he was animated. Jared Goff was pointing out to where he wanted Jameson to be, but that's part of being a good leader, right? Showing your teammate where you want him to be, showing and telling him your expectations for that wide receiver is part of being a good starting quarterback and part of being a good leader. It wasn't out of a place of, oh my God, you suck, you're not getting to the right spot. It's a, hey, this is where we need to be as far as the chemistry aspect. And it was said that they walked off. It was said that, they had really good conversations. And, even going to Jameson Williams and Jared Goff and Ben Johnson, that trio is having a lot of conversations in between plays to get it right. Right. And it's not an anger thing. It's not a frustration thing. It's not a screaming and yelling match where, Jared Goff accuses Jameson Williams and Williams fires back and is all upset and screaming at Jared Goff. And, Ben Johnson's trying to break it up. It's okay. Jared Goff missed on a post route. He was visibly upset because they should be on the same page at this point. But Ben Johnson walked over to Jameson Williams. They had a conversation. The two of them met with Jared Goff. They had a conversation. Both of them were pointing out where they wanted Jameson to be. Jameson seemed very understanding. And even once Ben Johnson left to take care of other business, the two of them continued to talk about routes. They actually ran the same route again and hit where exactly they wanted to be. And then they came back and they talked about it again. And they went back into the locker room at the end of practice, talking about that play and continuing to discuss what they wanted, where they wanted it, and how they wanted to fix this offense. This isn't a problem of personalities, right? This isn't a clashing personality. This isn't a big ego wide receiver, not listening to his quarterback, not listening to his offensive coordinator and thinking that he's right. This is a young player who missed OTAs last year, missed training camp last year, and hasn't had time to develop a ton of chemistry with Jared Goff yet, learning how to develop chemistry with his starting quarterback, right? Yeah, Jameson Williams played, I think, 6 or 7 games a season ago, but didn't really have chemistry, right? Didn't have the ability to practice with Jared Goff, didn't have that ability to build that chemistry, know where Jared wanted him to be, and therefore you had not a lot of production on a very limited amount of targets, despite Jameson Williams being open on a lot of those targets. Now you have Jameson Williams through 5 days of practice starting to develop that chemistry, starting to see the connection build, but it's just not quite there yet. Now, is it time to panic? Absolutely not, right? Jameson Williams is a brand new wide receiver, essentially, right? Yeah, he played a couple games. He knows the playbook for the Detroit Lions, but doesn't have the chemistry with Jared Goff, does not have the, doesn't know where Jared Goff wants him to be because he hasn't caught very many passes from Jared Goff. And, with all the news about Jared Goff missing a lot of passes, throwing some interceptions, and not looking like a top 10 quarterback that he was a season ago, there's a lot of reason for that, right? Jameson Williams is essentially brand new. Jahmyr Gibbs is essentially brand new, right? The Lions offense have been put in situations that are incredibly high pressure, right? The situation that we're talking about, as far as the missed post route and the struggling offense in 11 on 11s, came in a situation where the Detroit Lions offense was down by 3, had 45 seconds left with one timeout, and were set at their 38-yard line. If that is the situation in a game, I'm going to guess that the defense is going to be able to hold on for 45 seconds and not give up a game-losing touchdown, right? If your defense is put in that situation, you expect your defense to win. The Lions offense is not being put in favorable situations to help them grow chemistry. They're being put in high-pressure, high-intensity situations, and they're being asked to figure it out with a trial by fire. Right? In that situation, in that 11 on 11 with 45 seconds left, Jared Goff, I believe, went 2 for 5 for 20 yards, which isn't very good. They did pick up a first down and almost got a second one. But on 4th down, right, they scrambled out. He tried to make a play to Jameson Williams, and him and Jameson weren't on the same page. That's concerning, right? But it's actually not, because Jameson Williams has likely not ever been in that situation before in practice. I don't know exactly how they practice through the season, and I know that a lot of the high intensity stuff, a lot of the high pressure stuff comes in OTAs as they look to get ready for the NFL season, so I don't know how much they practice it through the NFL year, and I don't know how much they practiced it when Jameson Williams returned from injury a season ago, but I know that in games, they've never been in that situation with Jameson Williams, right? I know in a game, him and Jared Goff have never had to pull that playoff. I've never had to pull that situation off before. So it's a situation Jameson Williams is unfamiliar with. It's a situation he has to learn from and improve from, but it's a situation they haven't done yet. So to call out Jameson Williams as a bust is an incredibly big overreaction. To call out Jared Goff as already regressing in 2023 is a massive overstatement by the media, by the fans, and quite simply just isn't true. This is a young receiver who's willing to learn, a young receiver who has already shown that he wants to be better. He wants to talk to Jared Goff, wants to figure out where he's supposed to be at what time he's supposed to be there, and a quarterback that's looking to build chemistry with brand new weapons. A quarterback that outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Khalif Raymond doesn't have a lot of chemistry anymore with Josh Reynolds, who didn't play very much last year. Doesn't have a lot of chemistry with Jameson Williams. Doesn't have very much chemistry with Jahmyr Gibbs, the rookie, and is being put in high intensity situations, passing only situations where you're forced to throw to tight windows, where you're forced to make some risky passes because the traditional dink and dunk offense, the traditional play action offense isn't going to work with 45 seconds. So you're putting Jared Goff in high intense situations. You're putting these young wide receivers in big situations with a quarterback they just don't have chemistry with yet. So with all that being said, no, it is absolutely not time to panic for the Detroit Lions offense. Are they struggling early? Sure. Do they have a lot of rust to shake off? Do they have a lot of things to get better? Absolutely. But they're not even into the final week of OTAs. They're not even into the final, or they're not even into the first week of training camp yet. And they're certainly not even close to the NFL preseason, which is more than 2 months away. So before you kind of get on, before all the fans tell you that Jameson Williams is a bust, before all the fans tell you that Jared Goff is struggling, before you read all the articles that the media is putting out about how the Lions offense is just not where it wants to be, remember that it's early. Remember that there's a lot of people, there's a lot of moving pieces, and there's a lot of unfamiliarity within that group right now, and that they're going to figure it out. That Ben Johnson is a young offensive mind. Jared Goff is a really good quarterback. Jameson Williams is an incredibly talented wide receiver. Amon-Ra St. Brown is an incredibly talented wide receiver. That offensive line is elite. The running back and the running game in general should be better, and they're not going to be in that situation hopefully too many times. And it's incredibly early. So with all that being said, I wanted to address the offensive struggle. I wanted to address why it might be happening and whether or not it's important to the Detroit Lions season as of right now. And it's just not. So with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know down in the comments below how you feel about the struggling offense, how you feel about OTAs so far, and how you feel about this Detroit Lions offense moving forward with all these new playmakers and pieces. I'd be very curious what you guys have to say. If you enjoyed the content, please make sure you down below and like the video as well as subscribe. It helps the channel out a ton. And if you hit bell notifications, you will never miss a Detroit Lions upload. But with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching. And until next time, and as always, go Lions.